Hello, I'm Troy, and this video is going to demonstrate what is required to solder pipe together. Now, what's soldering? Well, it's a means of connecting two pipes together using metals. And in this case, we're going to melt our filler metal between the pipe and the fitting. How's that going to be accomplished? Well, it's called capillary reaction. And for me to demonstrate that, I'm going to go to the whiteboard. Let's imagine this is our pipe, and this outer piece is our fitting. In this case, it'll be a 90-degree elbow. What we're doing when we solder pipe together is we're actually filling this void between the pipe surface and the inner surface of the fitting. This space in between is called capillary space. Hence, capillary reaction happens when we apply heat to the fitting and a filler metal from the opposite side, melt it, and then it wraps itself around through drawing itself to the heat, forming a filler piece in here all around the outer surface of the pipe. The solder is actually drawn by the heat produced by the torch. All right, so before we get going, let's go over the materials that we're going to need for this little project. First and foremost, you'll need some MAP gas, our solder, our flux, some sandcloth, or at least a way to clean the pipe. I like these all-in-one tools. They'll do 3/4 and 1/2 inch. We'll need our fitting and our copper pipe, of course. We'll also need a way to measure the pipe. So we got our measure tape, a pen, and a means of cutting that pipe. Now, before we get going completely, we'll talk about our safety. We'll need to have gloves, preferably ones that don't have the rubber fingers, because we're dealing with heat. We don't want to melt that. Safety glasses are a must. Sometimes the torches are noisy, so you may want to have ear protection. This particular one is not too bad. Lastly, we'll need a cloth, and before we get going, I'll make sure that this is wet, because we want to cool that joint and clean it up after we're done soldering. All right, well, let's begin the process. We have our pipe, and we have our fitting. There's a few things we need to do before we get right into it, though. First off, safety always. Let's begin putting on our gloves. And most importantly, eye protection. We won't need hearing protection, as this torch is not very loud. Okay, well, what size pipe are we going to deal with here? Let's just say we need 6 inches worth. Okay, we'll take a measurement here. The end of my thumb. We'll use our pen, make a mark. And our cutters. These are self-tightening cutters. They're great for small spaces. Just a few turns and it'll get through. There we go. All right. Next, we need to clean the ends of the pipe and the inside of the fittings. It's dark brown because of oxidation. I like these all-in-one tools. You quickly clean the inside of the fittings. And using the other outside brush, it cleans just the right depth. You can see the difference in colors there. Okay, now that they're nice and clean, we can go ahead and apply the flux. The flux basically cleans it a little bit more. It's slightly acidic, so it does eat into the copper a slight bit and allows the solder to make a good connection. Okay. Inside of the fitting. Okay, we apply flux to the inside of the fitting and the outside of the pipe. It's not uncommon for new novices to apply the flux and try to clean the inside of the pipe. Okay, so we're ready now for the heat. Now we're working with a plastic table here, so I do have a piece of wood, plywood. All right, and a clamp. Okay, I think you can see that quite well. Now we're not going to need a whole lot of solder here. Roughly, if it's 3/4 inch pipe, we got 2 joints. I'm going to give myself about 2 inches worth of solder. All right, so you'll see by the time we're done, we'll have about 1 inch left. I like to hold it in the palm of my hand as so, and using my forefinger, I'm able to push the solder in the joint. That's how this will go. All right, my particular torch is self-igniting. Okay, I'm going to start by heating this side and applying the solder on this side once it gets up to the correct temperature. The flux will actually start to bubble as it gets hotter. It doesn't take too long. There we go. And the next joint. And there we go. Okay, we'll take our damp rag. We'll do this carefully because sometimes the solder, if it's still hot, is obviously still molten and we could break the seal. But it's looking like this one's pretty good. Release it from our clamp. Put that away. Clean it. See what we got. All right. So you can see the solder went all around the joint. So that makes for a great seal. The solder melts at roughly 840 degrees Fahrenheit. And we can run temperatures through here of say 250 degrees Fahrenheit without fear of this joint weakening. But that's how you make that solder joint. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. I enjoyed making it, and I hope you learned something.